In the vast expanse of Frank Herbert's Dune universe, one family stands at the center of a galactic power struggle that spans millennia. They are the Atreides, a noble house whose legacy is woven from threads of ancient Earth mythology, medieval European chivalry, and futuristic space opera. But how much of this fictional dynasty is rooted in our own history and culture? Let's find out. In this video, you'll see House Atreides in a whole new light, not just as characters on a page or screen, but as a mirror reflecting our own complex history of power. We will be unraveling how House Atreides cultivates from Greek mythology, English chivalry, Scottish warrior clans, and the samurai. Let's begin our exploration.
To cultivate desert power.
Desert power.
The name Atreides has its origins in Greek mythology, specifically the House of Atreides. In the Greek mythology, the House of Atreides was a dynasty of kings that ruled Mycenae, one of the most powerful city-states of ancient Greece. The name Atreides literally means sons of Atreus, and it's a lineage steeped in both glory and tragedy. The most famous Atreides of myth was Agamemnon, the leader of the Greek forces during the Trojan War. He's a central figure in Homer's Iliad, portrayed as a great warrior and leader by also a man plagued by hubris and the consequences of his actions. Sound familiar? This duality, great power coupled with great responsibility and potential downfall, is a theme that Frank Herbert weaves throughout the story of his own house, Atreides. But the connection to Greek mythology goes beyond just a name. The Artreides of Dune, like their mythological counterparts, are often portrayed as being caught in the currents of fate and destiny. Paul Atreides, in particular, grapples with visions of the future and the weight of his predetermined role. Much like the tragic heroes of Greek drama, the Greek concept of arete, excellence, and moral virtue is also deeply ingrained in the Atreides ethos. Duke Leto, Paul's father, embodies this ideal in his just rule and his commitment to honor. Even in the face of certain doom on Arrakis, he strives to be a leader worthy of his people's loyalty. But like the House of Atreides, the Atreides of Dune cannot escape the specter of tragedy. Their rise to power in Arrakis is swiftly followed by a devastating fall, setting the stage for Paul's epic journey. This cycle of triumph and downfall mirrors the great Greek tragedies, where even the mightiest heroes are subject to the whims of fate and their own fatal flaws. As we move forward in time, we find the House of Atreides draws significant inspiration from the ideals and structures of medieval European nobility. The feudal system that governs the Dune universe, with its complex web of allegiances between houses, bears a striking resemblance to the political landscape of medieval Europe. At the heart of this system is the concept of noblesse oblige, the idea that nobility comes with a responsibility to those under one's rule. Duke Leto Atreides exemplifies the principle in his governance of Caladan and his approach to ruling Arrakis. He sees his power not as a right to exploit, but as a duty to protect and serve. This sense of duty is closely tied to the medieval concept of chivalry. The Atreides warriors, with their emphasis on personal honor, martial skill, and loyalty to their liege, bear more than a passing resemblance to the knights of medieval romance. The Atreides battle language, a system of hand signals used in combat, even calls to mind the elaborate codes and rituals of knightly orders. But perhaps the most chivalric figure in the Atreides saga is Duncan Idaho, the sword master of House Atreides. His unwavering loyalty, exceptional combat skills, and noble sacrifice embody the ideal of the perfect knight. It's no coincidence that Duncan becomes a legendary figure in the later books of the Dune series, his myth growing to near mythic proportions, much like the legends of King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table. The Atreides' fall from power and subsequent quest to reclaim their rightful place also mirrors many tales from medieval European history and legend. From the Plantagenets to the Tudors, European history is rife with stories of noble houses rising, falling, and rising again. Paul Atreides' journey from dispossessed duke to Emperor of the Known Universe would not be out of place in the annals of European dynastic struggles. As we delve deeper into House Atreides' structure and ethos, we find striking parallels to Scotland's clan system. The fierce loyalty, strong family bonds, and warrior culture that define the Atreides remarkably resemble the Highland clans of Scottish history. Like the Scottish clans, House Atreides places immense value on kinship and loyalty. The bond between Duke Leto and his men is not just one of lord and vassals, but of a tight-knit family, united by shared values and a common cause. The clan-like structure extends beyond blood relations, encompassing trusted advisors and retainers like Thufir Hawat, Gurney Halleck, and Duncan Idaho. The Atreides' military prowess and reputation as formidable warriors also echo the martial traditions of Scottish clans. The Highland clans were known for their fierce fighting spirit and unique military tactics, much like the Atreides, with their specialized combat training and secret battle language. Interestingly, some adoptions of Dune have leaned into the Scottish connection visually. In David Lynch's 1984 film version, the Atreides soldiers wear uniforms reminiscent of Scottish tartans, complete with bagpipes played at ceremonial occasions. While this specifically visual interpretation isn't present in Herbert's original text, it speaks to the strong Scottish clan vibes that readers and filmmakers have picked from the Atreides. The concept of a clan rallying behind a charismatic leader to reclaim their rightful place is also a common theme in Scottish history and legend. Paul Atreides' rise to power, gathering the freemen under his banner to overthrow the emperor, bears more than a passing resemblance to historical figures like Robert the Bruce or the romanticized tales of Bonnie Prince Charles. Crossing continents and cultures, we find another powerful influence on House Atreides: the samurai of feudal Japan. The emphasis on personal honor, rigorous discipline, and unwavering loyalty that characterizes the Atreides looks like the Bushido code of the samurai. For the Atreides, as for the samurai, honor is not just about reputation, but about living up to a strict moral code. This is perhaps best exemplified by Duke Leto's decision to accept the assignment to Arrakis despite knowing its trap. Like a samurai facing certain death, he chooses to meet his fate with dignity and courage. The rigorous training undergone by members of House Atreides also mirrors samurai traditions. Paul's education, encompassing everything from political strategy to hand-to-hand combat, is reminiscent of the comprehensive training young samurai would receive. The Atreides battle language, with its emphasis on discipline and precise communication, also calls to mind the elaborate system of etiquette and protocol in samurai culture. The most direct parallel to samurai culture in Dune is the character of Duncan Idaho. As the sword master of House Atreides, Duncan embodies many samurai ideals. His martial prowess, loyalty, and willingness to sacrifice his life for his lord. His role as Paul's mentor and protector is reminiscent of the relationship between a young lord and his seasoned samurai retainers. The concept of a warrior poet, equally skilled in combat and arts, is also present in both samurai culture and House Atreides. Gurney Halleck, with his prowess as both a warrior and a musician, embodies this ideal. This balance of martial and artistic pursuits was highly valued in samurai culture, where warriors were expected to be cultured and refined as well as deadly in combat. Our final stop on this journey through the real-world inspiration of House Atreides brings us to the Middle East. While the desert planet Arrakis is the home of the Freemen, not the Atreides, the family's involvement with this harsh world draws clear parallels to real-world dynamics in the Middle East. The most obvious parallel is the control of a precious resource. In Dune, it's the spice melange that makes interstellar travel possible. In our world, it's oil. The political maneuvering, economic pressures, and potential for conflict surrounding the control of Arrakis mirror real-world geopolitics in oil-rich regions of the Middle East. When House Atreides takes control of Arrakis, it finds itself in a situation similar to Western powers involved in Middle Eastern politics. It must navigate complex local customs, balance its own interests with those of the indigenous population, and contend with harsh environmental conditions if it isn't accustomed to. The Atreides approach to ruling Arrakis also reflects some real-world dynamics. Duke Leto's attempt to win the loyalty of the freemen, rather than ruling through force like the Harkonnens, could be seen as a more enlightened approach to colonialism. However, it still raises questions about power, sovereignty, and the right to rule, questions that have long been relevant in Middle Eastern politics. Paul's eventual embrace of freeman culture and his rise to power as a Masonic figure also have parallels in Middle Eastern history. The idea of an outsider adopting local customs and eventually leading a revolution is not without precedent in the region. What do you think? Which historical noble house do you think most closely resembles the Atreides? So what are your thoughts? Drop a comment on this video, hit the subscribe button, and tell us what movies or series you'd like us to deep dive into next. This channel is produced by movie fans for movie fans.